call the meeting of the Merrillville Redevelopment Authority to order for Tuesday, May 27th at 5:35 p.m. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Here.
Pettit,
Here.
me, here.
3 members. We have a quorum. All right. The next item on the agenda, ladies, is the consent agenda approval of the meeting minutes from May 6, 2025.
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Mrs. Uzelak, seconded by Vice President Neal. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mrs. Chilcott, we have no old business?
No old business.
We have no new business.
No new business.
All right, all we have is a resolution 25-01, and we have the pleasure of having both our financial consultant and our bond counsel here. Which one of you gentlemen wants to explain resolution 2501? You're also a lawyer, Swentz, I know that. Adam, do you want to go to the microphone, and we're recording? Yeah.
He's a financial consulting lawyer.
He's dangerous. He's a CPA and a lawyer.
Financial consulting lawyer?
All right, Adam, for the record, state your name. Craig's recording this.
Yes, Adam Sturwald, Barnes and Thorburg, Bond Counsel for the Town and Redevelopment Authority. Thanks for having me here tonight, filling in for Tom Pittman. So I'm happy to walk through over the entire structure and process for where we are. So you guys let me know if you've heard all this before or if I given too much detail. So the general overall structure here is the Redevelopment Authority will lease or issue bonds for roughly $33 million. Then you will buy roads from the town for that same $33 million, and then the town will then use that money for a south side fire station, repaving of roads, and all the improvements to Wickham Road or Wickham Avenue.
Whitcomb Street.
Wickham Street. I was close. A couple more guesses and I would have had it. So the plan is to have a special benefits tax for security for the bonds, but anticipated to be all paid with debt service from TIF, and that'll come from the Redevelopment Commission. The Redevelopment Authority will assign all those lease payments to the bond trustee and sort of be out of the transaction at that point. Any kind of questions so far, or that was a lot?
Ladies, any questions?
No, not me.
Rhonda?
No.
Joe?
No.
No? Michael? Angie? Mr. Clerk Treasurer?
No question.
Bob? Joanna? Probably, yeah, I would say, since Craig's recording.
All right, so my question is in pertaining to the construction of the new fire station. One of the issues that we've had and they've expressed previously is the lack of staff at the fire department. One of the things we were going through previously is that we wanted to increase our taxes so that we can fund more first responders, police officers, and firefighters in particular. If we build another fire station, how are we going to staff it? I just feel like...
Mr. Griffin?
How do you do? I'm Michael Griffin. I am the town manager.
You got to speak into a microphone.
Speak in the microphone,
Yeah, Michael.
Michael.
To observe,
He does speak loud, though.
but I want to be recorded. Mr. January, that's an excellent question. However, in this case, we're not building an additional fire station to add to the existing 4.
Right.
This is going to be station 7-3 or 7.
73.
7-3, replacing an existing station. The determination was made that where 7-3 is now, we are not in a position to, their feeling was it did not, the location did not serve expected and existing growth that we've already experienced in town. So the question's excellent. However, it's not going to create, I don't think the staffing problem goes away eventually, but it's really a substitute for an existing station.
Okay.
It's really not an additional station adding to the total. It's replacing and relocating and updating an existing station that will then be decommissioned.
Right.
And it'll be up to the town council and the Fire Territory
Fire Territory
Protection
Board, yeah.
Local Board to determine the disposal of that asset.
Okay.
That is,
Excellent,
To
excellent.
Michael or, I'm sorry, Eric, to Michael or Joe, it's Deep River, Eric. It's the one
Sure.
way out by Deep River, not the water park, but the other park on Old Lincoln Highway. That being in the town's name, that would go to the Fire Territory Board and the council then, right, to just, if we decided to liquidate that asset?
Well, again, right now, we're not liquidating anything.
Right.
What we're doing is we're in the processes of probably going through and just dealing with the existing fire station, with the transition to the new fire station, decommissioning the old fire station, then deciding how we want to dispose of it, if we want to dispose of it, or
Right.
if we want to keep it for a town asset.
And this site, for the record, was determined by Chief Yurga and Deputy Chief Lilly, and based on an ISO rate, the insurance rating, that will lower everyone's insurance costs out there based on that response time that they will have in not only going to the west in silos, and we need a station south of 30, and they felt this was the best location. Again, for the record, Mr. Svetnoff is working with a local property owner on a donation of the 6 acres, so we will not have to pay for the property. We'll just be paying for the building itself.
Okay, all right, great. So that's
Okay, are we going to
excellent.
have
Thank you,
any
Mr. Griffin.
But hang on a second, Margie.
Sure.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Now, the final question is, because it's going to be south of Route 30, how far is that from the actual Hobart Fire Station? Because I know they have a Hobart Fire Station. This is on Colorado, where it's going to be built?
Yep.
Because they have one just north of
North of Walmart.
Route 30. Yeah, by
Sam's
the
Club.
Walmart.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. That I don't, we'd have to ask Ed and Jim
Okay.
as far
All
as
right.
what the,
But I think there was a serious study done of the needs of the town, and this was determined to be an excellent location as for response time for our residents and our citizens and our corporate citizens in terms of being south of 30 and being in an area that's stemmed for growth.
and actually this may, given its location, there may be a time when mutual aid kicks in and people that are at that 9300 block of Colorado may go up and help the guys, the city of Hobart, and vice versa. They may come down on the mutual aid agreement that we have.
Well, I understand the transition, but are there going to be firemen stationed in there?
Mr. President, with your permission?
Yes,
Yes.
go ahead, Michael.
They will, as it was understood to me, is they will have one full-time person on station, and they intend to have I believe, an emergency rescue unit in that site. I know this because I had to do a presentation to the HOA on this. I got schooled on it a little bit. But they will try to augment the staff until we get to a place where we can actually have additional full-time beyond the 14. They'll use part-timers and occasionally on-demand calls for that. So it'll be staffed much the same way that the existing station was. But I want to, the clerk treasurer is making a point. His question's really about, if we're that proximate, could we rely on that? We do have a mutual aid agreement with the city of Hobart. I think there's a broad mutual aid agreement with all the communities nearby. The only difficulty with the usual economies of scale that we're looking at is that they have a primary duty to serve their city first, so we can't count on them to cover things for us. They can only cover if we've been called and they have no call. So we still have to build, even if they're proximate, and then the mutual aid agreement will be available, just as we'd be available to them if there's an issue. But it's I know what the implied question was about the economies of scale you're looking for because of proximity, but that calculation works in a lot of areas. It just doesn't work in the fire service because the primary duty to be there to call.
Okay.
We can't count on Hobart not always having a call where it has to respond first, has a duty to its jurisdiction first always, so.
Okay.
But we will keep it in mind. I know we have been anyway, doing that when there's a call. They may have a call that we have to respond to, and vice versa. So.
Sure. And then final point, thank you, Mr. Griffin. I should have just talked to you before the meeting. The final question, and this pertains to the uncertainty that the town, the fire department, and everybody is going to have in regards to the legislation that just passed that's going to affect the amount of revenue that the town is getting. And we incur a $33 million liability. That's a fixed sum, and although it says in there it's a special revenue bond, and we don't have to use any other money to pay it, if we have that money, we're gonna be obligated to pay it. So, in light of everything that the town is going to be confronted with, just in terms of uncertainty, I don't know if it's necessarily the best time to incur that amount of debt.
But remember, Eric, the SB1, and correct me, Michael, and Trista's in back of me, SB1 is only affecting the general fund.
Correct.
Well-
This is from the allocation area, so as long as the allocation areas grow and we have more in Ameriplex or silos or what we had approved at 73rd and Mississippi, we're going to get that increment, 100% of the money, which is why we've had Bob structure this thing the way they did. So
Right.
there isn't a reliance on the general fund for debt service.
It is an existing increment area. There's going to be an impact on anything new, but this was something that was in place as of January 1st of 2025. We're going through this 300 pages. I'm trying to read it, but I have so many things else to read. So I think we're going to be okay on that, and because it's a necessary need for public safety, I thought you were going to ask about our ability to pay people. I am tasked with developing a series of policy choices for the council to decide. We're hoping that we can get them to change their mind about 27 and 28 as outlier years are a problem. But in 26, we know that the Legislative Service Agency thinks the property tax-backed things will be down by $830,000 roughly. That's serious money for us.
Right.
And we're trying to figure out ways in which to get through that. But we don't have any reason to believe from the legislation that there'll be a change in fact, there was language in there that says to try to protect the increment collections that were in place as of January 1st of 2025. After that, it's an open question, but it's a great question because
Yeah.
it could be affected.
Sure, and what I was thinking of in particular in regards to the increment, because I know they haven't touched that, and the towns are the ones that are really gonna be affected. So I was thinking in the sense that if we've got this money that's coming from the allocation area, and it is legal to use some of that money to pay for first responders, what would be a better use of the money? To pay more first responders that we may actually have to tap into because we don't have the money? Because we don't know what's gonna happen in 26 and 27.
People smarter than me, Mr. President, I beg your pardon, may
Go
I
ahead,
respond?
I have my own opinion of
People
money
smarter than me
salaries.
could probably answer this, but this is mostly about trying to improve response times, which saves lives and protects more property. So by moving and deactivating that station to the new location, we'll be able to serve the existing area of Merrillville better. That was my understanding, that they could actually cover the parts of Merrillville that they are supposed to cover with that now much better and much faster. As the president alluded, the insurance service organization time rating could be preserved or lowered, which is what we want. I think that's right. And so I take your point, but I don't think it's a choice between those two. And the way in which the money is going to be given to us, it'll be actually a town council matter. And we're trying to live within what we think the increment is going to generate within the time that they all can have under the current statute and the statutory change in SB1, or actually Public Law 68-2025. I just said that to show off for Mr. Stowell.
Right, okay. Well, I'm not gonna pester because I know we got another meeting coming.
Right.
But another option too, and I know this is way late, I was just thinking, just in terms of constrained finances, because I don't know about you all, but I've had constrained finances before. And that is no fun when you don't have enough money to pay all of your bills. And I'd hate to, for an individual, that's one thing. But when you have a town in that situation, that's something entirely different. And I don't want the town to ever be in that sort of position.
Well, and
Right.
fast forward that though, Eric, with the payroll, this is one reason I personally, I don't want to speak for my 6 colleagues, but I personally have talked to Bob and talked to Trista and Michael. That is why I am not in favor of using allocation area money for public safety salaries, because I don't want to be the councilman in 14 years that says, this district has sunset and I can't afford to pay you your salary and we got to lay off 10 police officers. That's not fair to them. That's misguiding
right.
them
Sure.
of hiring them in. You could say that. You could say, hey, I'm going to hire you for 10 years because you're getting paid out of the TIF district, and when it expires, you're gone.
Right.
I don't know that that's
Yeah.
what we want to do either.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think my approach is a little different though. I would use the maximum growth quotient to actually incorporate those people that are currently being paid out of allocation area into the town's budget. And then over the course of the years, most of those people are already being incorporated in the budget. So that means everyday people that are working for the town may not get the same amount of raises or not, but we'll actually be able to pull all of those people over to the town's budget over a period of time. It just wouldn't happen right away, because we do get a growth quotient every year where we're allowed to grow the town. So but I totally understand what you're saying, because that would be wrong if we didn't have a way of funding them in the future. But I just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Chair will entertain a motion on 2501.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Uzelak, seconded by Vice President Neal. Is there any further discussion? Should this be a roll call, Joe, or a voice?
Roll call.
Roll call, Madam Secretary?
Yes, Marsh, Uselak,
Yes.
Sean Pettit,
Yes.
and me, yes.
Motion carries 3-0. Is there any other business, Angie?
No other business.
Chair will entertain a motion.
To adjourn. Adjourn.
Is that your motion,
That's the
Margie?
motion. Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There you go, Joe. You
Okay.
gotta vote.
I love to get a vote.